6.9-inch display, the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, 100-watt fast charging, and a new 200-megapixel camera, the Honor Magic 7 Pro looks great on paper, but does it live up to the hype? Let's take a look. So first up, when it comes to the design, it's essentially just a bit of a refresh to the 6 Pro, but there are some subtle changes, and I'd say for the better. We've now got flat sides as we've seen on many other phones this year, but there's also a small bevel on each side, and comfort in the hand is pretty good. It's a bit thinner, coming in at 8.8mm, and it weighs in at about 226 grams, which means it feels very light to pick up, but it still feels pretty well built. Now we've got a 6.9-inch LTPO OLED display, and this means it can go between 120Hz all the way down to 1Hz to save on battery when it's required, and the 5000 nits of peak brightness can be very helpful, especially when you're out in the sunlight, although it's got the exact same specifications as the 6 Pro's display, so it might even be the same display. We also get 4320Hz PWM dimming to make it easier on the eye, but I don't suffer with eye fatigue when it comes to displays, so I can't really comment on the effectiveness. Now we've got the pill-shaped cutout top center with a 50-megapixel wide-angle camera and a 3D time-of-flight sensor, which means that we get accurate face unlock, but again it seems to be the same setup as the 6 Pro. On the rear, we've got a slight change to the design, and I have to say I prefer it now. It's still bold, but it blends in a little bit nicer, and the dark tint means you can't see the lenses so clearly as you could before. We also get some upgrades to the camera with a 50-megapixel primary camera with OIS and phase detect autofocus. We've got a 200-megapixel periscope with 3x zoom, OIS and phase detect autofocus, and then it's a 50-megapixel ultra-wide with dual-pixel phase detect autofocus, and to be fair, the cameras all work really well, but we'll go into more details in the camera samples shortly. Now under the hood, it's powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite, and this version has 12GB of RAM with 512GB of storage, and as you'd expect, it's going to handle pretty much anything you throw at it. And I've been playing a few games like Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG and Asphalt, and of course they all play really well in high graphics at high refresh rates, and with this bright display it's just a pleasure to game on even in the sunlight, and it's also pretty comfortable to hold when gaming. Now for those of you that use your phone speakers for gaming, it's okay, and it does go nice and loud, but I find it's a little bit tinny and heavy on the treble, and this gets even worse at full volume, and when you're at full volume it also brings in a noticeable bit of distortion, but I guess it's better to have the option to go too loud if you want to, rather than not having that option at all. Now you can swipe right while playing a game to reveal the game manager, and this has got plenty of shortcuts like cleanups, filters, do not disturb mode and more. And for those of you concerned with synthetic benchmarks, over on Geekbench 6 we get 3059 for single core and then 9425 for multi-core. Then over on its GPU test it scores 17969. I then went over to 3D Mark, and over here it got a score of 6618 with an average frame rate of 40 frames a second. Now in terms of software, it's all running nice and smoothly, and the responsive display really does make it a pleasure to use. It's running Magic OS 9, and like many other companies, Honor are continuing to focus on AI, some of which is useful and some of which just seems a little bit gimmicky to me. Now for a start, we've got AI deepfake detection, and this is apparently going to work on all video calls, and it's going to tell you if, for instance, it's not your friend you're talking to and it's actually a deepfake. Now unfortunately, I don't have any deepfakes that I can test it on, but at the same time, I just don't think a scammer is going to call me with a deepfake of someone I know, and I don't think they'd be able to pull it off just yet. Now we've also got the circle to search feature, which I'm sure most of you have seen, and I find this really useful. All you have to do is use your knuckle to circle things, and you can then bring that into other apps like Google Images to find it, Google Maps to navigate there, or maybe even eBay to buy it. And I also really like all of the UI animations that we get for it. We've also got Gemini included, which offers a great assistant on top of plenty of tools like translations, writing and formatting. We've also got AI in Honor's Notes, and this can do things like help you summarize, format, or take AI notes. Now another good thing about Magic OS is that we've got plenty of themes and choices for the UI customization, and you can pick from a list of different themes, or you can pick things individually from your wallpapers and lock screens to standby displays, always on displays, and more. Now powering the phone is a 5270 mAh battery with 3rd generation silicon carbon, and I'm very happy to see the return of 100-watt fast charging when using wires, and then 80-watt wireless charging, and the battery life in my testing has been really good, even with using it a bit more than I normally would for the testing. And when it comes to cameras, we get some great photos, and the one thing I really like here is that all the cameras deliver good results, making it a fairly versatile camera system. We've got plenty of detail in the highlights and shadows across all of the lenses, and the only thing I would say is that like other Honor phones, they're very high contrast and punchy photos with plenty of saturation rather than being true to life in terms of color. But these days, everyone is doing this sort of editing for photos before they're putting them on social media anyway, so it just saves that extra step. But if we look at these photos from the primary camera, you can see they look great, plenty of details and good dynamic range, and they're just nice images overall. If we switch to the ultra wide, you can see the same great photos here. And again, I've taken all of the usual photos just with a point and shoot and no adjustment, and we are getting some great results. For zoom choices, you can go from 0.5, which looks like this. You can go to 1 times, which looks like this. We've got 2 times, which looks like this. 3 times, which looks like this. And then 6 times zoom, which looks like this. And as you can see, we get great results at all zoom, which means you can just choose the shot you want rather than worrying about which lens is better. Now, for those of you that like the extreme zoom, we've also got the 100 times zoom option. And personally, I just don't use 100 times zoom because of the quality loss, but to be fair, if you ever do need it, then it's getting better. So here is where I was stood, and then here's the 100 times zoom on text to see the quality, and then again, here's where I was stood, and then here's 100 times zoom in to see the text quality, and this was all handheld with no tripod, and to be fair, it's done a pretty good job. Now for selfies and selfie portrait, it delivers some good results as you can see here. So you can go between 1 and 6 times zoom for your portraits, and for the most part it's done a good job with the edge detection, but it has struggled a tiny bit with the hair. But now let's take a look at the video samples. So this is the video from the front-facing camera. It's 4K, 60 frames a second. Now it's a bit of an overcast day, but there is a lot of wind, so it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. But it looks pretty good in the viewfinder. If I just do a pan round. And then while we're on here, I'm just going to turn on the noise reduction. So now this is the video with the noise reduction on, so we'll see how that affects the wind. Now we've done that, I'll turn the noise reduction off, just go for a jog to see the stabilization. But that's the video quality from the selfie camera. So for the selfie camera, it performs well, and 4K 60 frames a second is the max. The noise reduction didn't work too well with the heavy wind, so I've kept it off for the rest of the videos, but the stabilization was also great when running. Now this is the video from the primary camera at 4K 60. There's a lot of wind, so it's going to be interesting to see how that comes out. It's also recorded in 16:9, but there is actually an option to do 21:9. If we just stop and do a slow pan. Do a quick pan back. And then as always, we're just going to do a jog just to see what the stabilization's like. And that's the video from the primary camera. So as you can see, we've got great quality video from the primary camera, and it's a lot more true to life than the photos. Stabilization held up well throughout, especially when running, although there does seem to be some ever so slight warping when I'm walking forward very slowly. Now this is the video from the telephoto. I'm not going to walk just yet, as it's not a good idea to walk with the telephoto. But if we just do a slow pan so we can sort of see the focus. Looks to be pretty good in the viewfinder. Do a quick pan back, then I'll just walk forward so you can see, but again, never a good idea at zoom. And then just for anyone that wants to know, we'll do a run, little jog. Right, now one more for anyone that wants to do max zoom. We're at 2.6, now we're at 7. Now this is 10 times zoom. Again, it would be much better if it was on the tripod because it is handheld. Slight movements there and see what it comes out like, but that's the video you'll get at the full 10 times zoom. So the telephoto camera delivers some good video, although it's not as good as the primary camera, but considering it's handheld, it was doing a pretty good job. And at 10 times zoom, it's not so good, but that's always to be expected with digital zoom. Of course, with a nice bright 4K display, it's also great for media. And as I said, the only downside is the speakers are a little bit tinny and trebly as you move up the volumes, and also with a little bit of distortion at max volume, so we'll just take a listen now.
I was a wartime general. Now I'm a wartime president. It's time to take control, players! Ready, steady, stand. But you.
Now, its predecessor came out with an incredible launch offer that made it a very easy recommendation, but unfortunately we don't get that this time around and it's slightly different, so there's a little bit more to think about. Now, at the time of recording, I've been advised that the phone is launching from £1,100 for the UK, but it's also coming with the Honor Magic Pad 2 as a free gift, which makes it a huge saving in a way, but only if you wanted the Magic Pad 2. Honor are focusing on their ecosystem and making their devices work well together, so if you need a new tablet, then the Honor Magic 7 Pro and the Magic Pad 2, which is priced at about £500, is a great deal for just £1,100, but then if you don't need a new tablet, then it's not as good as a deal, and I wish there was a price reduction for launch rather than an expensive free gift. Now, at £1,100, it's very close to its mainstream competitors like the S Ultra and the iPhone Pro Max, and actually more expensive than the iPhone 16 Pro. And these companies tend to offer 5 to 7 years of OS updates. While Honor haven't stated the 7 Pro yet, the 6 was 4 years of OS updates, so I can imagine it's going to be the same. Now, that being said, it's still a lot of hardware for the price, and Honor are continually improving their phones and the OS with lots of new features coming. And here we've got a powerful phone with a great camera system. It's just a little bit more to think about. Now, of course, I've placed a link down in the description below, so you can go ahead and check it out now. And if there's anything I've missed or you've got any questions at all, then just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech.